What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466cards, and today we're going to talk about PSA Offers, which I believe has the potential to really change the way the hobby operates if this is the first step of a broader expansion strategy at PSA. And I'm excited by the potential of what they could do, and I'm going to give you some ideas in this video. First off, though, let's talk about what PSA Offers is. It's something they rolled out a week or two ago, and here's a screenshot from the website. It's the quickest way to turn cards into cash from the PSA Vault, guaranteed. And essentially, right now, and keep in mind, they're rolling this out very recently, and so this is probably a staged rollout, a little hint of where I might be going in a video. But right now, there are a group of dealers, breakers, and local card shops, which they're calling their PSA Partner Network, that has the ability to make offers on cards in the PSA Vault, and also, more interestingly, cards that have been recently slabbed by PSA. And so you could, if you are a PSA customer, get an email or an alert that says you've received an offer on one of the cards from your submission to PSA, and it would look something like this. And so according to this blurb here, right now this is only available on the PSA website and not on the app, but I can only imagine that they're working on adding that pretty quickly. And if you want to see what this might look like on the PSA website, here is my account. You can see there is an offers tab here. Obviously, I don't have any offers available. I only have a few cards in my PSA Vault, but that's where it would show up. And so again, I think there's a lot of really cool potential of what this could be. And as I reflected and was putting some ideas together for this video, I came to realize that the journey of getting a raw card graded has already changed a lot in the last year in terms of optionality. And so I'll explain what that means. So let's think about what the process was to submit a card for grading to PSA 2 years ago. Here's what that journey would look like. You start off with a raw card. I'm using a Wemby Silver Prism. You would send it to PSA. It would get graded and slabbed. They would then send it back to you in the mail. You would then take that card, sell it on eBay, sell it at a local card show, trade for it at a local card show, do something with it, right? And then the new owner would do the exact same thing with on eBay, local card show, My Slabs, various places that they could sell it and trade it for and trade it at, and then so on and so forth, right? So that is historically what has been the journey for a raw card after it goes to PSA. But in the last year actually, I wouldn't say two, PSA has changed the options available. So what I just talked about, that path still exists, and I think that'll always be there. But the new options that they've now put into place includes the PSA Vault, where you could send it, and then from there, send it to eBay. You could also, from the PSA Vault, once you have accumulated a few cards, send them back to you at home, or sell them offline and then just mail them directly to the new owner. And then that person would then sell or trade for it, or sell or trade it at a card show, or sell it on eBay, so on and so forth. And then here goes the life cycle of a slabbed card, right? But now they've added a third capability, which is sell it immediately on eBay. Don't even have to wait for it to go to the vault. And now there are these PSA offers. And so if you compare this top part of the picture here, which talks about the past, there was no optionality. It was just, this is how it goes. Current day now, there is a lot more optionality. You can mail it to yourself, you could sell it immediately, you could ship it to the vault. There's a lot of things you could do rather than the one path that they had before. But I think the PSA Offers functionality has now opened the door for a bunch of other options. And that's what I want to really talk about in this video, because I think there are really cool and exciting options that could come out of this. And given that they're at PSA, they're already expanding what is possible and what the options are, I think there might be more to come from PSA. So let's see what those different paths and possibilities are in the future. And again, these are just my ideas. There are probably more out there, but these are the ones that come to mind and make the most sense to me. So the future, what does that look like for a raw card? Well, obviously the traditional way still exists, and that'll always be there. But now there's the PSA Vault. And right now, it's only available to those people in the PSA partners, right? The dealers, the breakers, the card shops, the LCSs. Right now, it's only available to a select group of people. But again, they're rolling this out, and they probably don't want to do a mass rollout because they want to work out the kinks. And so what if at some point the PSA Vault becomes the PSA Marketplace, which means it's open to all PSA customers. You don't have to be in just the PSA partner network. And as a result of that, if there is a PSA Marketplace open to all PSA customers, that means you can buy and sell stuff, which means that allows PSA customers to keep cash or credit on the PSA platform. And what does that mean? That means you've essentially created a slab-only version of COMC. COMC, I love COMC, but it is geared towards the lower end card. And there's a lot of raw cards on there, whereas in this situation, you could skew a little more higher end, and with all the cards being slabbed, because they're obviously coming from grading at PSA, there is less worry about condition because, again, they're all graded. And so this PSA Marketplace could become a more interesting version of COMC, to put it mildly, just because there's one other thing they could do that would really make it interesting. It's something I've been waiting for patiently for 2.5 years, since 2022. One last thing, they could also send the cards to eBay for sale, right? But the thing that I want more than anything for this possible PSA Marketplace is card trading, where you can trade your cards in the vault with other people's cards in the vault, or make it a cash and trade or what have you. And I've been waiting for this for literally 2.5 years, and I have the video to prove it. This goes back to an episode of Off Centered with Dustin, the sports card dad. And it was so long ago that his co-host for this video was Brad, the comeback card collector. And at that time, in 2022, they had Tim, the CEO and founder of COMC, on. And he talked about this concept of trading, again, in 2022, that got me really excited about what was possible for these sports cards marketplace and these digital marketplaces. So I'm going to play this video, and you tell me if this doesn't sound really cool, even though it still hasn't happened.
Actually, Dustin, on your channel, you mentioned something about there not being any good platforms for trading.
Yes.
So I built something.
I influenced Tim Getch. Yeah. Influencer. Dustin the influencer.
So I do the model for it, the model that...
And so I'll stop it there. I'll keep it rolling in the background. But you can see this video is from May of 2022. And I have a whole spiel on my Instagram. Go follow me and check it out on my reels at Simon466cards. And in May of 2022, Tim said he was 75% done this trading this capability. And it is, I'm recording this November 26, 2024, and it still hasn't been rolled out. And in fact, I usually go to the ComC booth once a year to ask them about it. And so at the National this past year in Cleveland, I went to the ComC booth and I said, have you ever thought about trading and adding that to the functionality of the ComC website? Tim mentioned it a couple of years ago, and I did like a little spiel like that, and they said, oh yeah, no, it's definitely something we've been thinking about working on, but there have been other priorities. And it's like, it's been 2 years. Why isn't it done? He claimed to be 3/4 done in 2022, and yet we're still here, not done. And so I think they've missed the boat. I think they've set themselves in such a way that PSA could launch this functionality and really make themselves unique in their marketplace. And that to me is really interesting and exciting for the hobby, and is the type of innovation that I want to see in the hobby. All right, so enough about the marketplace, but you can see just the fact that this PSA offers function now exists opens up a whole lot of other options that could exist, because I believe quite possibly that this is just step one in a much broader expansion plan for PSA and collectors. Second one, obviously, sending it to eBay directly after grading. It's pretty straightforward. And then there's a third thing, and it is the PSA offers. Now, you'll notice the arrow here is reversed, right? When it goes to the vault, you're telling it the card to go to the vault. When you send it to eBay, you, the owner of this slab, are sending, or are the one pushing it to eBay via PSA. But in this case, this is offers being pushed to you. You're just sitting there sending a card to PSA to get graded, and PSA is pushing offers to you from their members. And that, I think, is also a really cool functionality, because again, it has to be open to all PSA customers. And to do this, obviously PSA customers need to know, or need to tell PSA what cards they're interested in. And so what PSA could do is set up a functionality that captures PSA customers and their want list. That's what I'm calling here, want list. Where when something hits on their want list, an alert pops up that tells this PSA customer, hey, this card you've been looking for, and in this particular grade or higher, has just been slabbed. Do you want to go make an offer? If so, go to the PSA website, and here's the link to it and the slab. And you have 12 or 24 hours to do so before the owner sends it to their house or the vaults or to eBay. And so you can imagine this interface where a customer selects, let's say, an 86 Fleer Jordan rookie card in at least a minimum grade of 7 or higher. And there's some like radio buttons that you click. And then, you just hit a submit button. And then if a card fits that criteria, when it's getting graded at PSA, then automatically an alert and an email gets sent out, and that is how it's done. And so that is a really cool function. It's more or less what they have right now, but availing that out to the entire PSA customer population could lead to a lot of quick sales for people submitting their cards to PSA, especially people in the set registry. In a perfect world, PSA would be able to say, do you want to get an email alert every time an upgrade on your existing set registry is available, i.e. cards that you already have but in a better grade have been graded at PSA, or cards that you're missing from your set registry have become available and have just been recently graded at PSA. And then again, an email alert is sent out. I think that would be a really cool functionality. And obviously, people in the set registry will not be in the PSA partner network. They're not going to be breakers or dealers or LCSs. But I have to believe that this is something they're thinking about because they've already enabled this PSA offers function. And so I think there's so many different cool possibilities here. You can tell by my enthusiasm here, but I think this could really change the way that we operate in the hobby. And I think what Nat Turner and the PSA team are doing is really, really cool and really shows the innovation that we don't see very often from other big companies in the hobby. And so that's why, to me, PSA Offers could be this first step in creating a whole new PSA marketplace ecosystem. And I think that's really cool, and I think it's really exciting. Quick math here. I think this PSA Vault and marketplace could be built up really quickly. Let's do some quick math. They grade 1.3, 1.4 million cards a month. If we make the assumption that only 1% of graded cards at first are sent to the PSA Vault, that means 13,500 slabs get added to the vault each month, which is the same as 160,000 slabs a year. Obviously, the cards being graded each month include TCGs, and if you are like me and don't care about those, let's say half of these cards are sports cards. So that's still 80,000 slabs that are sports cards being added each year based off of this very, very basic assumption and math. That's a pretty decent starting point for a vault in 1 year. And it really makes me think about the deal that collectors made with eBay, where they sold off Golden to eBay, and as part of that transaction they acquired the eBay vault. And I wonder, because let's be honest, nobody used the eBay vault. It was this thing that was just kind of sitting in the dark. And I just wonder, as part of that discovery, I can just picture Nat Turner as if he was Billy Bean in Moneyball, looking to make a trade and being like, oh yeah, this guy, Chad Bradford? Yeah, I mean, let's take a shot at him. Can you throw him in the deal? I feel like if you watched Moneyball, or read the book actually, if you can picture the book or the movie, Nat Turner is Billy Bean and the eBay vault is Chad Bradford. And eBay is like, I can't wait to get rid of this thing. It has no value to me. And Nat Turner's like eyes are lighting up and be like, I get basically this thing that you don't use for free and you don't want to just pay the maintenance costs on it because nobody's really using it. And you've just built this lovely vault for me and I don't have to build it and I get it for like literally pennies on the dollar because it's been a failure for you guys. I just feel like that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe that's just me wish casting, but that's kind of where I am with that. I feel like eBay didn't know how to properly use the eBay vault, and there was no way with their leadership there in the card space that they would ever figure it out. And Nat Turner's like, okay, thank you, I'll take it. Thank you for doing this for me so I didn't have to build it from scratch. And got it for like pennies on the dollar. Anyways, side tangent for me, but I can just picture that interaction for whatever reason. I don't know. Let me know in the comments section down below if you think that's what happened here. One other thing about PSA Offers. There is another piece to it that I think could be really interesting and could have an impact on the hobby. And it's for the pricing tools. To me, pricing tools have two main concerns, two really important functions. One is the accuracy of sales data, and two is the completeness of sales data. You want to make sure all the data you have is accurate and reflects what happened in the marketplace. And you want to capture as many and as much of the sales that happened in the market as possible. And this is when I point out that Card Ladder is owned by collectors, and collectors owns PSA. And so I'm pretty sure that any transactions that happen in the PSA Vault as a result of PSA offers and in the, my idea of the PSA marketplace will not be shared with other companies like market movers, their competition. And so that's a problem for market movers and 130 point and other tools that might exist out there, because I find it very hard to believe that collectors would be sharing that data, because if these are the two most important parts of your function, you can say, hey, I'm Card Ladder. I have all the data. I have data from eBay. I have data from Golden, Fanatics Collect, all these auction companies. And I also have data from the PSA marketplace and PSA offers. And so I'm better than all the other pricing tools out there because I have the best, I have the most data. And that's something that differentiates me from everybody else. And that's why you should sign up with Card Ladder. Now, this, of course, is fully dependent on PSA offers and the PSA marketplace being a material part of transactions in the hobby, right? If they're only doing a handful of transactions, then it doesn't matter. But if they built themselves to making, I guess, enough transactions, I don't know what that number would be, then that could be that wedge, that differentiator that makes them a more appealing product than a product like market movers. And so if we look at all the new possibilities that could follow as a result of PSA offers being just step one in a much broader plan for collectors and PSA, one, you're creating a marketplace that's like ComC. Two, you're now keeping credit with PSA so that you could use it to slab cards. You could get credit by selling cards, and you could use it to buy cards from the marketplace, right? That's interesting. Card trading, we've already talked about. I'm very excited about it. That to me would be the game changer, because now these are trading cards by definition, and you can actually trade them. That's what, in theory, they're supposed to be for. They're not called buying cards. They're not called selling cards. They're called trading cards. And so that to me would really be cool and interesting. Pushing alerts of new slabs to potential customers so that you don't have to search for them. They just automatically show up for you. That's really cool as someone who has some eclectic taste, let's put it that way. And then making it easier for set registry participants to find upgrades to the set registry and move up the rankings. That sounds like a slam dunk. And on top of all that, they've created a competitive advantage for Card Ladder. These 6 things that I've just put here could all follow as subsequent steps to PSA offers. And I'd like to think that the PSA team and the collectors have thought about these already. But if not, feel free to use them, Nat. But there's so much that's been uncovered in terms of possibilities and in terms of potential that I think it's really, really exciting. And so that is essentially the video. This could just be step one of a multi-step process to expand the scope of what PSA and collectors does, right? And if we're talking about collectors, you could throw SGC on here as well, and that adds a whole other dimension too in terms of the marketplace, right? Like that's also a really cool aspect I don't really talk about here, but basically take what I said for PSA and just add SGC, replace PSA with SGC, and it's essentially the same, right? And then all the stuff that I mentioned here, plus the Card Ladder piece, and that does segue into my next video, because I want to talk about accountability in the hobby. It's been almost 3 months since Ken Golden crashed the Card Ladder crossover Instagram Live. And I want to talk about the fact that there's been zero follow-up from this that we can tell from our side. And why, to me, there's a lack of accountability for what happened here. And I think it's important to talk about. So that's what we're going to talk about next time. Anyways, that's it. That's the video. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.